Hi everyone, welcome to the day 5 session on WebDriver. So in the day 4 session we learn about CSS Selector and basic as well as advanced part. Okay, so when I say advanced, that means locating a CSS selector for its child, for its immediate child, for its sibling, or for the attribute is starting with, attribute containing value, attribute ends with value, or attribute contains some specific word. So these are the different combinations that we have learned in the previous session. So in today's session we will be learning few new things. So the mainly is Xpath. Okay, so this is day 5 WebDriver. Okay, here I will write the note. Perfect. So yeah, let's get started. So there are total 8 locators, and from that 8 locator we have almost learned all of the locators. And let's learn Xpath today. So Xpath, let's talk about the syntax. So for CSS, we had a syntax something like we write tag name, then if it is ID starts with hash. If it is class name starts with a dot. If it is attribute, we write attribute into square bracket equal to the value which is expected, Okay, so something like this, VALUE. So this was the high level syntax for CSS. Similarly, we have a syntax for Xpath. So Xpath syntax is we write // then we write tag name, square bracket, and in that square bracket we write attribute and value. But before writing attribute, we have to write @. @ stands for, this is an attribute. So let's say you want to locate an element by ID. So the ID is actually attribute, considered as attribute here, and we write the ID of that. Let's say username. Okay, so this is the syntax. The tag name is there. For example, if it is a text box, the tag name is going to be input tag. Okay, so this is one example. Now let's say you don't care about what is the tag name. You can give directly star and give the attribute and value. Let's say type equal to password. Okay, so this is another syntax of writing a CSS Xpath selector. Okay, now this is the very basic syntax. Let's say you wanted to use multiple attributes. You want to use multiple attributes, just simply say that // star, attr1 equal to value 1. Okay, and attribute attr2 is equal to value 2, something like that. You can say and. You can also say that or, a element which is having this attribute or attr2 equal to this, any one of this two, or so this is possible. Or let's say you don't want to use the attribute, I'm saying // span or // div. Okay, sorry, I don't know how to use exactly or on this case. We'll try it out, but you can also write Xpath something like this // span // div. I'm saying / all the tags which are href. Sorry, I forgot about @. Don't forget @. Stands for attribute. If it is attribute, you should write @. Next is I hope you got the concept, right? What is the high level syntax? Okay, in case of a class name, so you wanted to use some class name, then we use this syntax. Again, class is very specific to CSS. You know, class is one of the feature of Cascade style sheet. But for XPath consider class as a normal attribute. So if you want to use class, then it is going to be, you know, something like this. Let's say it is having three classes. So CLS1, CLS2, CLS3, exactly the same value which is there on the HTML. You must have to give exactly the same value which is there on the HTML, saying that class equal to, you know, the value. Now let's say that you wanted to use only one class name as unique, you know, let's say CLS1 is the unique, and you only want to use CLS1 for uniquely identifying. And let's suppose you write something like this, you know, @class equal to CLS1. This will not work, as HTML has, you know, tag, whatever tag name, class is equal to CLS1 space CLS2 space CLS3. You know, if the HTML is having these three classes, then you should have class is equal to class 1, class 2, class 3, exactly the same value which is there on the HTML. In case of a CSS cascade style, we had, you know, we had a freedom. You know, let's say I wanted to use only the unique class. Simply say that CLS2, let's say CLS2 is the unique. Simply say dot and CLS2. That is the syntax, you know. But in XPath we don't have that feature. So XPath treats everything as class and attribute. Okay, sorry, as a attribute and value. Even though it is a class, even though it is ID, even though it is anything else, doesn't care. You know, I don't care that what is that? Is it ID or class or what else? So everything is attribute and value. Is that clear, guys? Any questions? Any questions, guys? Let me know if you have any questions or you want to discuss anything. Yes, Harshal. Let's say you wanted to use class 1 only, you can use in CSS Selector, right? But if you want to use that in XPath, it is little bit trickier. You know, you have to write @class is equal to all the classes, you know, in the same sequence which is there. So that is like one difference. If you want to use ID and class, you know, the better I would suggest to go with CSS Selector, because ID and class is actually coming from Cascade style sheet. All right, let's see few examples. So I'm going to open some sample website. You know, let's take any website. I will take Amazon. Okay, there are some pages. I will go to one specific page. Let's say, you know, shop by category, and then I'm saying men's fashion. Again, clothing, t-shirt, polos. Let's use clothing. Okay, so this is the web page, you know, and let's try to locate few element. So to the left hand side, you see a filter. There is a find now button. There is a navigation menu as well, and it again has sub navigations. There are some advertises, the different product, let's say top wear, bottom wear, sportswear. You know, there are different products as well. Okay, and new season collection and something, you know, that like that. There are so many elements, controls, buttons available on this web page. Now let's take example. I want to select this department text box. It's a drop down list, sorry. I want to select this department drop down list. Okay, I want to select some value from the department. So I'm just right clicking on the element, say inspect, and there I see a tag which says select. It has name equal to bin_1, id is equal to bin_1 ns underscore some random number I think, and class is equal to vertical picker. See, this is one class, vertical. Let's see how many classes are there, See, vertical is one word, vertical. Second class is picker. And then third class is bin select -ns. This is the third class. So there are actually three classes assigned to that one element. Okay. And yeah, that's okay. So this is a select tag, which I want to inspect. Now there is one option you can use ID, bin_1_ns, and this complete ID. Let's copy that. If I want to use the same thing into CSS Selector, oops. If I want to use the same thing into CSS Selector, what I would have done is I will say Control F. Okay, it's showing me the search box, find by selector. We already learned selector. Now we are going to use XPath, but before that, let's use the selector for that ID. So as you can see, this is unique element hash bin_1_ns and some random number. But guys, this number, this is something like a random number, and it could be anything. Let's say if you guys are opening Amazon.in, the same web page on your browser, you might see some different number also. Okay, you might see, there are some chances. So let's say I don't want to use this much, I don't want to use this, and this is something which is common. So in CSS Selector, what I can say is, I can say CSS Selector attribute ID starts with, that is cap equal to, that we already learned yesterday in the previous session. Okay, and let's say enter. Oh, okay. Am I missing something? I said hash, sorry. So as you can see that, see, this is CSS Selector. I'm not talking about XPath. This is CSS Selector. Okay. So in CSS Selector, I said square bracket attribute cap sign equal to, that means attribute starting with this value, and you can see that this is unique. So sometimes you may get a question, if the element IDs are dynamic, then how you can tackle with that, locating element for such element. So there could be multiple answers. First answer is you can go with the XPath. XPath allows you, or CSS with the help of parent and child relationship. You can locate that element with the help of parent and child relationship. That's one answer. Another answer is there should be something common, something unique, even though that number is dynamic. So in this Amazon side, you can see that bin_1_ns underscore, it is actually unique value, and then some random number is appended. So you can, answer like this as well, and you can see that, this number is also here, x85q9 on something, x85q9, that way. But you don't need to really write everything, just simply write this much, and yeah, this is going to work. So I wanted to write XPath now. This syntax was a CSS. We already learned CSS in very detail. Now let's move on to XPath. So in case of a XPath, we write // and then we write tag name. So let's say I'm writing tag name as SELECT. So as you can see that there are 9 elements matching with this XPath. / select is matching to the 9 elements. So let's find out, what are those 9 elements. As you can see here, the select is, I'm just mouse hovering on the select, and to the left hand side you see men's clothing. So this is a select which is giving me option to select the category. The second select is, where is that? Yeah, you see that new and best selling drop down list. That is the second select. Let me see the third select tag. This is the third select tag. Where is that actually? I don't know. Okay, it is somewhere there on the page, but I'm not able to find it. Okay, it is there but on the web page. If you want, you can expand it and read the text value. I need to talk to customer and I'm still having food and blah 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 stuff, you know. So just say, okay, now you can see that the select tag which I'm interested into is the fourth select tag. Okay, it is the fourth select tag. Now to look at the select tag, as you can see it here, you know, it has ID. I can use that ID into my XPath, you know. Let's say // select square bracket @ because ID is the attribute @ID equal to, just copy paste the value of that ID. Okay, as you can see that one matching element. I hope you know the syntax of XPath selector is clear to you guys. So we write // tag name square bracket attribute name is equal to the value in a single quote. You can give in double quote also, but single quote is the one which I always prefer. Okay, so this is one example. You know, you can write any locator. For example, I want to locate this element which has class vertical, you know, vertical beacon front, and which is this element? Actually, this is the complete div, quick finder div. You know, you see this quick finder div, right? So this is the complete quick finder div. I'm saying // I said I'm going to say star because I don't care what is the tag name, you know, and then I will write square bracket class is equal to the value, and to this locator, you know, class is equal to the value. There is only one matching element, and that element is that quick finder. Hope it is clear to you guys that how to use it. Now let's say you wanted to use class as well as ID of that element, you know. So what we do is, in case of selector, we write #id dot class name, you know, if you want to use both the things together. But here I will write and @ID is equal to, the ID is, let me copy that in single quote, you know, I forgot to write single quote. So as you can see, one matching element is there. So here I'm saying @class is equal to this and ID is equal to this. Instead of and, you can also write or. So by saying or, it will select all those elements which has either class name is equal to vertical beacon front or ID is equal to the given ID. Okay. Now let's say example, I'm taking this class, you know, vertical text color no image, you know, I'm saying @class is this or class is equal to this element. So it should be selecting two elements, right? Because @class is equal to vertical beacon front and or @class is equal to vertical text color no image. But guys, remember, you know, if I'm removing, see, I'm just doing some small change here, you know, I don't want to include the third class. I want to include these two classes. Oh, it's working for now, but I don't think this is going to really work. Oh, I think there is another element which has vertical text color element, you know. So let me see, Control-I, no image. Okay, so there are two elements matching. So first element is this one. It has class is equal to vertical beacon front. Second element is class equal to vertical text color no image. As you can see, both these elements are getting selected. Now what I will do is, let's say I want to remove the text color, and now only one class is getting selected, you know. Let's say I'm removing no image, and see there are two elements getting selected. The second element is actually the element which has class is equal to vertical text color. Okay, we had a freedom, you know, we had a freedom saying that I can say that dot vertical, I can say dot vertical in CSS selector. So if you say dot vertical in CSS selector, it will select all the classes, all the elements which has vertical as a class. Okay, so okay. What about dynamic part in ID? All right, so let me go back and let me show you that. Okay, so here I said class is equal to this, but what you can see is, let's say I want to remove the dynamic part, let's say this is something, which is dynamic. So you can say that, okay, let me cut that part. Okay, this is about XPath, right? If you have asked question about XPath, we'll cover that later, we are just now getting started with the XPath. Okay, but I'm sure that you know that how to do it with the CSS selector. You can use attribute starts with, ends with, contains word. That is like one solution. Then you can also use parent and child element. That's another solution in CSS selector for the dynamic elements. In XPath, how to do how to handle the dynamic element, I can give you an idea. We have almost the same methods, as starts with and ends with. Contains, these methods are there in XPath. I will cover those later. All right, so what we covered, come back. So we have covered this, this is the general syntax. You can have multiple conditions, this attribute is containing this value, or this attribute containing this value, or not containing is exactly matching to value. You can also write a CSS XPath selector something like this, / span. Let's say in HTML page I'm saying, okay, I'm just saying / div. So it will tell me how many exactly divs are present in your HTML. So there are 1592 divs. If I say, let me say, okay, this is not really going to work, or I know this is not going to work because the syntax I'm using it wrong. So I wanted to say, okay, there are 1592 divs. And what I will say span now. So there are how many? 1746 span. Okay, so in case of XPath selector, you don't have a ready-made option, something like in CSS selector we had option. I can say div, comma means or, div comma span. So it is selecting 3338 tags on your Amazon web page. So div comma span, it means div and span, select all the divs and all the spans. Okay, let's come back to XPath again. So I want to say that find all the divs which has class. I don't care, what is the value inside a class, but that div should have attribute as a class. So the syntax in CSS is, we write div square bracket CLASS. This is the syntax in CSS selector. So tag name square bracket the name of attribute. That means this is going to select all the div tags which has class as a attribute. I don't care what is the value in that attribute class is containing. We don't care, it is just going to count that element if that div is having class is equal to something. Okay, so similarly you can do it with XPath also. So / I want to say div, right? So / div square bracket @class, because class is an attribute for CSS. So I'm writing @class, and the syntax is little bit similar to the XPath. Okay. Any questions, guys? Questions, please. Is everything clear so far, or you still have some questions, doubt, or I can quickly revisit those questions, because I think these topics are very important. Yeah, we have not specified value of the class. The reason is I wanted to say that select a div which has class. I don't care what is the class value. Okay, that is the reason, this is the syntax. If you want to say explicitly that the class should have some explicit value, just copy paste that value, whichever you want to say. For example, there is a class nav logo hyphen link. Let's see how many elements are there with the class name as nav logo hyphen link. Okay, it is not matching. Oh, maybe it is the tag name might be something else. So I will say star instead of div. And yeah, it is going to, it is actually matching, it is a hyperlink which has class is equal to nav logo link, and that is matching here. Hope it is clear. Any questions? Okay, let me repeat again. So there are two types of XPath. First is absolute. Second is relative XPath. Absolute XPath, that means it starts with the root, the first element. And in HTML, we have a first element as HTML. So absolute XPath starts with /HTML or simple HTML. Just simply say that HTML without slashes. And this is the absolute XPath. It is similar like C:/ user / username / desktop / file name. So this is the absolute path. But when I say relative path, relative XPath, it means you are already in that folder and you are directly referring with the file name. You don't have to give file name C:/ user / something like that. So I'm just saying that file abc.txt. That is the absolute path. Sorry, relative path. Relative XPath always starts with a slash. Okay. And all these examples that we have learned so far, all these above examples are example of a relative XPath. Absolute XPaths are not recommended. I will tell you why these are not recommended. And I will always say that always use relative XPath. Okay. Hope I answered your query. Yes, you can use absolute XPath as well instead of relative, but again I'm repeating, this is not recommended. I don't want anyone to use absolute XPath. Again I'm saying this thing again and again, do not use absolute XPath. If you are using absolute XPath, that means you don't know anything about WebDriver. You are that dumb guy. But it doesn't mean that absolute XPath cannot work. Absolute XPath can work for locating element. Okay. All right. So let's come back and I will tell you, few more example. Let's say Reebok is the text. I'm inspecting it. Okay, it is a hyperlink which has href is equal to something, and there is a text. Now this hyperlink do not have any ID or name or class or any other attribute apart from href. Okay, it just has a href. Maybe you can use that href for locating an element. Now, for example, there could be something unique. The ID must be unique or something like that. But I want to say that I want to use the text, the Reebok. I want to use this Reebok text. So what you can do is in Selenium WebDriver, you can say that this is hyperlink and hyperlink is having some text, Reebok. So you can say that by.link text and then Reebok you can pass in Selenium WebDriver. By.link text in this case, in this situation, in this scenario, you can pass driver.find element by what was that? Link by.link text, and then you will say Reebok is the link text. That way it will locate element. But you can also locate this element. You can use this text in XPath as well. So how to do that? So just say Control F. I'm writing // star. It means any tag name, square bracket, and inside a square bracket I was using @ and attribute, but I'm not using attribute now. I'm actually using a text of that element. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm actually using the text of that element, which is Reebok. So the syntax is this, without @. You might have noticed that there is no @ because there is no attribute. I'm not using any attribute. So text open bracket close bracket is equal to Reebok, and it is matching to how many elements? It is matching to 3 elements on your web page. So Reebok is there in some category, mega menu. It is there in menu. Also, it is there on the products page, the Reebok text that we are seeing. And also it is there at somewhere here, to the left hand side you see, brands filter. There also there is a Reebok. Now the difference is this is Reebok span. The first Reebok is hyperlink. Second Reebok is also hyperlink. Let's say I want only hyperlink. So just write the tag name as A. And now I got, one filtered out, only two filtered out of three. So there are only two elements present. And now you can again have more filters criteria to make it unique or something, you can take many advanced things to locate this element. So I hope it is clear that how to use a text for locating XPath. So this is the example, and this is a absolute XPath. You can see it is starting with // and I'm directly jumping on that A tag without caring that who's the parent and who's the parent of that parent and who's the precedent and that way. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about XPath in more detail. Okay. XPath is path for XML tags. Okay, that is the main purpose of XPath. XPath only works on XML. So in short, XPath works for XML. So wherever there is XML, you can use it XPath. Can anyone tell me what is HTML? HTML is what? It is extension of XML, right? So it is extension of XML. That is the reason you can have. So we can have XPath for HTML also. Because HTML is also XML. XML means the tags and attribute and value. The tags, attribute, value, that syntax. So XPaths are supported. Now let's say I have some tags. I will talk specifically about. Let's scroll a little bit up. I want to inspect that Amazon. Okay, I'm inspecting that Amazon logo. Okay, it is span. You can see that nav logo base. It has another class nav-spirit and the text is Amazon. Okay, that's okay. Let's focus on this question, not question, sorry, on locating this logo. So I'm just saying right click, copy, you can say copy XPath, but which is not the right way you should do it. Do not copy this ready-made XPath and CSS selector for your automation script. So what I will do is just go to the head, just go to the body tag, find out the body tag. Where is body? Okay, this is body. The body tag is containing so many tags. First it is containing a div. Okay, so let me write the structure. The topmost element is HTML. Okay, then body, then what was that tag? Then inside the body there is a div tag. Okay, div with ID equal to a page. I will say div. Then in that nesting label there is a header element, header tag. Okay, so I'm saying header tag, and that header tag is containing div. There are again divs, so 4 divs, so div. Instead of writing on a new line, I'm just writing, just writing in a shortcut way. 1 2 3 4. So there are 4 divs, and then inside that there is a tag, and then there is span. So inside that there is a tag and then span. But when I say span, there are actually 3 span tags, span. Okay, So let me try to build absolute XPath. Let's try to build absolute XPath. We already built, I think, the relative XPath. The relative XPath is going to be very easy. I will simply say that / star any tag name which is having class attribute as this value. Okay, and you can see it is selecting two elements. It is selecting two elements. That's one nav logo, and there is another logo which is present at some footer. So, but I don't care about that logo as well. I'm worried about the first logo. I want to select this one only. All right. So this is a relative XPath. This is, sorry, my bad. Okay, let me copy. Amazon logo, relative XPath. This is the relative XPath, which is always recommended, that you should be using XPath something like this. But you should know what is absolute XPath also. So let's write absolute XPath. Oh, I think I replaced few line of a code here. Okay, no worries. Let me do that again now. So initially there was HTML, HTML. Then slash, I'm saying slash means inside that HTML there is a div tag, slash, inside that div there is a header tag, slash, there are 4 divs. Slash means nested, immediate child. You can compare slash with the greater than sign in the CSS, both has the same meaning. Okay. So HTML slash div slash header, then there are 4 divs tags, and then there is a tag, and then there is a span tag. So I will just copy that XPath, go here and paste it. I think I did something wrong. Let's check, I think I have done something wrong. Oh, I forgot about body. I forgot about the body tag. So just added that body tag. And you can see that, how many elements matching? There are 15 elements matching. There are 15 span tag. There are 15 span tag present with this order. Okay. For example, this is 1. This is 2nd. This is 3rd. This is 4th. It also has the same structure. It also has the same parent-child structure. So there are total 15 span tags which are having this hierarchy. Okay, it is not unique. Now, how to make it unique? The very first thing you have to do it. You have to say, like this. I want to say that body and then div. Okay, but not any div. I don't want this div, right? I want that specifically head div which contains header. This header is contained in that div, the div which is having ID as a page, right? So I will say div having @ID is equal to a-page. Okay, can you see that? Is it unique? Yes, it is unique. Now I will say header. So how many headers are there? There is only one header. So you don't need to write any extra condition to locate it. You don't have to write class, or you don't have to write ID or any other attribute. You simply say that slash. Then I will say div. How many matching? Okay, there is only one div. Then I will say again div. Now there are 4 divs are matching. So this is 1. I think this is okay. This is 1, 2, 3. This is 3rd one, and there has to be 4th one somewhere. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are actually 4 divs. So from that 4 divs, I'm interested into the first div. If you want to say that first div, that means just write square bracket 1. That's it. If you say first div, write square bracket the number of that child, first child. 1 means first child similar to the CSS selector, you know, right? Yesterday we learned, right? So in CSS selector, we wrote a syntax colon first hyphen child or colon nth hyphen child. In the bracket, we gave a number 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So it is similar to that nth child. So it is div 1, it means first. If you say div 2, that means second. If you say div 3, that means third child. If you say div 4, that means fourth child. If you say div 5, it will not give you any element because there are only 4 childs to this div, immediate child. Okay. I am interested into the first div, so I said first. Then I will say again div. You know, there are, okay, I'm done with the 3 divs. How many divs are found? Now inside that div, again there are 5 childs. There are 5 child div tags are present. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from that list of 5, again I'm interested into the first div. So I said first div slash. So I think I covered till here. Okay. Now inside that div, again there is a div. So let's write slash div. How many matching element? Only 1. So let's go ahead. I don't need to write any ID is equal to nav logo or something like that. I'm writing absolute XPath, guys. Okay, I'm again telling you this is absolute XPath. Now I want to go inside a tag, right? So slash a slash span. I will say, you know, but this will select how many element? 3 element. I don't want 3 element. I want that first element only. So square bracket 1. So this is a unique absolute XPath for your Amazon logo. You know, this is the unique absolute XPath. But as you can see, how many elements it is reducing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are total 10 elements are used, 10 tags. Let's say if the developer is doing some minor change, you know, let's say if the developer is doing some minor change in your website, the developer just removed that one div, you know, this one div is removed. Now there is no any div, or it is now span or something else, or the developer added new one more extra div, then this XPath is not going to work. So you have to go back and change all your XPath, all your absolute XPaths. You know, even though there is a small change introduced, you might have to change hundreds or thousands of locators XPath if you are using absolute XPath then. So that is the biggest disadvantage of using absolute XPath, and that is why I do not recommend using absolute XPath. You know, try to stay away from using absolute XPath. So yeah, this is the reason why you should be avoiding use of absolute XPath. And I hope it is clear that what is absolute XPath, how to write it. Even if you write slash here, still it is fine. Okay, even if you don't write a slash, only HTML, still it is okay. Some people say dot slash, you know, that is also fine. Dot means current element, which can be anything. Dot slash HTML, that is also fine. Yeah, this is the example of absolute XPath. But again, remember guys, we won't be using absolute XPath. So for this element, you know, let's say I want this span, you can either directly go with nav-logo base, but this is not unique. You can combine that class is equal to nav logos base and nav spirit, you know. Or what you can do is there is a div which has nav logo. Okay. Now I'm saying let's locate that element slash slash star any tag which has ID equal to nav-logo. Can you see that div? It is selected uniquely slash slash star square bracket @ID equal to nav logo. It is selecting that one element uniquely. Now you have to go inside that element because this is unique. So I'm going to say a slash span and then I will write 1. So this is relative XPath. You can see starting with slash slash. So I want to locate span, but this is relative to the tag which is having ID nav logo. Okay, so you can see that there is a relation, you know, this element is relative of this element, you know, and then we write the complete XPath from the element which is relative. So that is the reason it is known as relative XPath, and it has minimum tag name 1, 2, and this is the third tag. So I'm only using the 3 tags for locating this one element uniquely. So this is a good example of XPath. This is another one good example of writing an XPath for locating that image, that Amazon logo. There are a few more things that we have to learn, but I think this is it for today. In next session, we will learn more in detail about XPath. So I will just give you a high-level idea that what are the things that we have to cover. The things that we have to cover is attribute starts with, ends with, contains, okay, starts with, ends with, contains, then following sibling, preceding sibling. So these are the few, like let's say skipping, using slash slash multiple times. These are the few examples that we will learn in the next tutorial. But that's it for all. That's all for today. Let's have a quick question and answer session. If you have any questions, please post in the comment block. Post it into the chat window. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. Bye bye.